everyone, my name is Kirsten and I am a student at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, otherwise known as CCNM, and today I'm going to be answering your questions about first year at CCNM and all the questions that you guys commonly ask me or questions that you ask me directly on Instagram, so you guys can get a better idea of what to expect in your first year if you're wondering of looking into the program or if you're starting in September, which is only a couple of weeks away. I want to make this as easy of a transition for you guys as possible because I know it can be daunting and scary at first. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. So the first question that you guys asked me was, how many hours a week did you study on average in your first year? This really depended on the time of the semester. During non-midterm time, so when we were kind of just learning new content, but it wasn't really close to midterms, like I did all my classes for the day and then I would study for about, it depended on the day, 2 to 4 hours, really depending. And that's just on an average basis. That included like coming home and doing work, because some classes you have a little bit more work, and then also studying. And then when midterms were starting to approach, probably 3-ish weeks before midterms, I would start to study probably up to 5 hours a day. And then right in the middle of midterms, or like right before midterms, a week before, I was studying like 8 hours a day. It gets pretty intense, but it's just because there's so many things to learn. It does take a lot of time and energy some days, so you just have to keep kind of pushing through and take breaks when you need to. That's my best advice for it. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of studying included throughout the year in general. The next question that you guys asked were for some studying tips. The main tips that I can give you is to start studying right away. This is something I learned really quickly throughout the program, that it hits you fast, and midterms and exams come extremely quick. Regardless of how much you learned in the day, go over your notes and review, rewrite notes, however you learn best. Everyone's different, so I can't give you exact ways to study necessarily because you might be a little bit different. But what I did personally is I started to go over things every night after I learned them. So if I did physiology in class that day, I would go back and look at my notes, and I would kind of start to highlight and go over the things that seemed a little bit more important to me, or that the professors kind of stressed the importance of. So basically in this program, I'd recommend just nonstop studying. It can be hard and difficult and stressful, but I promise you it's so worth it rather than cramming it all, because I know that that kind of worked for me in university, studying the 2 weeks before midterms or exams. But in this program, it's super important to keep updating yourself and stay on top of things so that when it does come to be that season, you kind of know all the information already. And then another tip too is take frequent breaks. Don't overstress yourself. There's literally no point in studying when you feel like you're absorbing nothing. You're just wasting your time and energy that you could be spending doing other things. And if you need to call it a night early, call it a night early. Don't stress out about this. You won't lose all the progress that you think you do if you take a night off because you're just constantly studying. Don't let this get in your routine of working out or being active, or whatever you need to do to feel better, socializing, talking with family and friends. This is all important things throughout your studying to do. And also be comfy. Like honestly, be comfy when you study because it helps you so much to at least feel cozy. Like I would always be wrapped up in a blanket because this made me feel a little bit better. And those are my main tips, but if you need anything more, please send me a message and I can do a specific video on that. The next question that you guys asked was tips for balancing school and social life. Okay, so this is definitely difficult, but you're going to make a lot of friends while you're in school. It might be a little bit different right now because of COVID, and if you're in first year, you're probably not going to meet the people you're in classes with directly, but this can still be applied. The people that you do connect with over online, I'd recommend scheduling Zoom meetings with them. And if you're watching this video when social distancing no longer exists, or has been kind of lightened a little bit, I would definitely recommend just spending time with these people because they're very like-minded to you and they understand your schedule. You guys can plan around and even make little study dates together, study dates where you study for a little bit and then you kind of have your own time. I would totally recommend this. If you're living at home and you have friends around you, I would definitely just like make sure you set specific days that are for socializing. Once you kind of get into the rhythm of your schedule, you'll kind of notice that there are days that are a little bit lighter and you have that time to socialize, so take the time to do that. Get out of the house whenever you can, or your apartment, or wherever you are. Take those breaks that you need, and don't disconnect yourself from people. You need that connection more than ever in this program, and that's something I learned the hard way. So do what you can to stay connected to the people you love and people who make you feel important, because this is really important regardless of how stressful or important it is to work through this program and do all the work and the studying. It is also just as important to keep that socialization going in your life. The next question that I got was if I was able to work during the school year. Personally, I did not work in my first year. I was lucky enough financially to not have to worry about this as much. But at the same time, if you don't have the capability to work, I wouldn't stress over it too much. I think first year is a monumental year. You're really learning all about the program and how to kind of study and work through it in general. So there's a lot of things you're learning. So if you can refrain from working, I would definitely recommend it. I do know people who work through the program, so it's totally possible. And if this is something you really need or want to do, totally go and do it. But I also know that it can be super stressful. So you have to be willing to kind of go and not have as much time to stop and take breaks. Now, if you're only working like part-time, maybe a weekend shift or two, this is definitely a lot more manageable. I have some friends that do that and they find it completely manageable and doable, especially if it's just one shift a week, you know. But I would definitely recommend lightening it as much as possible if you can. With the online learning, it might be a little bit easier to work. But yeah, definitely focus your time on just learning how to navigate the program and what works best for you. And if you find that you can work, then maybe integrate that in. But I wouldn't do it right away just because there's a lot of new things. But again, this is totally up to you. So whatever you think like suits yourself and your personality and what you're capable of doing, then totally do this, because everyone's so different in the way that they learn and what they have time for in their lives. Work-life balance. If you are working, which I did not, I am now working with my own business, but it's not the same as kind of going to a job. Again, it would kind of be the same for the social life / schoolwork balance. Just make time to do what you need to do. Don't overschedule yourself. Give yourself time for just you, because that is super important, and get the rest that you need. Try to do a job that doesn't maybe take up your sleeping hours, so maybe not a late night job. If possible, do things on the weekends when you have a little bit more time and freedom, where you can still go to work and also study that day. Okay, I got another question about just advice in general for future students. Something I would recommend is just leaving a lot of time for your mental health. It is a tough program and it's gonna be hard. That there's no doubt about that. And I don't mean to scare you when I say that. I just want to prepare you. But know that your mental health is the most important thing, and don't let that fall through the cracks. Keep checking in on yourself, because even if you are feeling like you're okay, there may be something in the back of your mind that has been bothering you. And if you don't address it and you kind of just keep pushing it back to work with school and not worry about it, then you're gonna eventually explode and you're gonna feel the effects of that, and it's not gonna be healthy, and it's gonna have a lot of unhealthy repercussions. So take care of yourself, do what you need to do. You know, it's good to have a schedule for yourself. So I do class from this time to this time. This is my time to be active. This is my time to just have me time. And this is my time to socialize. You need to divide those parts of your lives. What works best for you? Some people are good at being active in the morning, some at night. Some people like to socialize after classes. Some people like to socialize later at night. It's really up to you. And again, it's going to be hard with this online learning because you're not really in person. So if you can find people to do Zoom calls with, or maybe try to schedule something with your class where you guys can kind of meet each other and communicate with each other and bond. I think this is really important because it makes you feel a lot less lonely. And be open. If you're feeling like you're dealing with some tough things, most likely other people are feeling the same. And that makes you feel a lot less lonely just in itself. And connecting with others with similar thoughts can be super, super helpful. So I definitely recommend that. Other advice that I can think of would include being understanding and forgiving to yourself in classes, because you're not going to do perfect all the time. It's a tough program. There's a lot going on, especially in first year. You have 12 courses the first semester. That's a lot. You've probably never done that before. You got to be easy on yourself, because it's a hard program, and it is a really hard mindset to get out of, because we are so used to working really hard to get to this place. And I think you just need to learn to take a step back when things are getting a little bit tougher. There are counseling services through CCNM that you can go to. I would 110% recommend going to them. I did personally in my first year, and that's when I really started to see the light. So even if you don't have a direct problem, I think it can be really, really helpful. Those are probably my main tips for future students. There's a lot of things. I can probably make a whole video on this one as well. But just be easy on yourself, be kind to yourself, make connections, and make sure you talk to people who are important to you and who make you feel safe and loved. I think this is really important in this program. And if you do poorly on something, it's okay. You're probably going to fail something. And if you do, it's not a big deal. You just get back up and keep going. This is medical school. This is not easy. It's extremely tough and it's exhausting, and you have to show love for yourself because that's the only way you're going to make it through this program. And always, 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 when you feel like giving up, because it's probably going to happen, make sure that you remember why you started. Always have that why in the back of your mind. I think that was the biggest thing that got me through this program, was my why. So whenever I felt like I can't do this, I thought about why I was there in the first place. Why did I work so hard to get there? And that really brought me back to the present time to really understand why I am where I am. Somebody asked me a question about living in res. Would I recommend it? See, I didn't live in res first year, so I don't have personal experience, but I do have a lot of secondhand experience from people who I am friends with in the program who lived in res and kind of talked to me about it. There's positives and negatives. The pros of living in res is that it's directly connected to the school. You literally don't have to leave the building. So in the winter, you can walk right to class. It's literally a 2 to 5 minute walk away from your classrooms, which is super convenient. You don't have to worry about commuting. Another pro is that it's incredibly cheap for Toronto, because Toronto is really expensive to live in. If you're in a big money crunch, definitely super smart to do. As well as another pro, you make a lot of connections and you become close to people because you live with a lot of people from your class, as well as upper years, so you can probably get some good advice from them. Those are the main pros. And then when it comes to cons, I would say kind of the same as a pro. You live in the same building that you go to school in and you never leave. So this is good, but it's also bad because you're there all the time. It's really easy to stay there for days on end and not leave, and this can probably drive you crazy. The rooms are extremely small, so not a lot of space at all. And you also share bathrooms and kitchens with people. There's not a lot of space in the kitchen. Typically, if somebody's in there, you can't really use it yourself. So it's really hard because you can't schedule time to eat. You have to kind of just do it whenever you can. It's really hard to like meal prep and such because you don't have a big fridge to put your stuff in, as well as there's not a lot of space in the kitchen or time to use it. And then multiple bathrooms in res, but like everyone kind of shares bathrooms. So this can be a little bit of an inconvenience, if I may. Overall, if you like to have your own space, if being able to cook on your own time and have your own personal space when it comes to going to the washroom or needing to shower, then I would recommend not living on campus. But if you are pretty easygoing and you don't really require a lot, or you think that you can kind of make do with this kind of thing and sacrifice that, and that's completely fine, that's up to you. But I'll leave you with those pros and cons for you to kind of go through. It's really up to what you're willing to put up with and what you enjoy or can live with. Okay, this is a really good question that somebody just asked me. They said, for someone who struggles with chem, physics, etc., should I reconsider naturopathic doctor school? No. Please, please, please. If you love the concept of naturopathic medicine and you really want to help people in this way and you are passionate about naturopathic medicine, please, please, please do not let something like this stop you. It is a minor part of naturopathic medicine. It is not a whole of naturopathic medicine, and it does not mean that you aren't capable of doing it. I literally did not take chemistry until my 4th year of university, only because I realized I wanted to be in this program. So I ended up taking 2 of my chemistries within like 4 or 5 months. I literally didn't think I was ever going to be going to anything science related or based, and here I am. I don't get the highest marks. I don't always understand concepts easily. It takes me a lot of time. But here I am going into 2nd year, and you can do that as well. So please don't let small little courses like that get to you. Now, if you don't enjoy any of the courses at all or anything to do with medicine or sciences or natural medicines and helping people in this way, then no, don't come into this program because it is vigorous and it is difficult. And if you aren't passionate about it, then no, you won't survive in it. But I wholeheartedly want to tell you that don't let the small things like that get to you. I took biochemistry first year last year, and it's really not as bad as it looks. Yes, it can be difficult, but it's so possible to get through it, and you just have to push yourself. So it's really, if you are willing to go through those small minor setbacks to get to the end goal that you enjoy, that's up to you. But please don't let small things like that scare you away, because you are so capable of doing it. I promise. So I think that's going to conclude my video for today. I feel like it's quite long. Maybe I can do a second part if you guys are interested in it. If you're people going into first year, whether it's this year or in a few years or whenever you come upon this video, I hope that it's helpful and can kind of ease you into the program a little bit better. But if you ever have any more questions, please feel free to ask me in either the comments below, or you can head to my Instagram, which is linked to my YouTube channel, and you can send me a message. I would also love that. I love talking to all of you and connecting with you and just hearing that my videos benefit you in any way, because that is all I really want out of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I will see you guys later. Bye!